Hello, and welcome to PSU TV's review show, Stubtown. We're going to be entering into a spoiler-filled review for The Circle.
I am a believer in the perfectibility of human beings. At The Circle, we can finally realize our potential. When we are our best selves, there isn't a problem that we cannot solve. We can cure any disease, and we can end hunger. Imagine the human rights implications. The possibilities are endless.
Hello, my name is Ashman, and I am joined by
Katie.
And Nick.
So The Circle is about Emma Watson, who is stuck in a dead-end customer service job. And eventually she gets an interview through her Scottish friend at The Circle, which is sort of like this conglomerate company of technology and internet service and social networking that sort of exists in this sort of alternate reality where there aren't antitrust laws or anti-monopoly sort of regulations, so that there could be this circle that contains an entire business and the people that work for it and all in one location. So Emma Watson ends up moving to The Circle and living in like their dormitories, sort of getting fully absorbed by this tight culture, and it's reminiscent. I'm actually not going to get into that. We're just doing the summary for now. So what ends up happening is she, through a mistake, gains enough notoriety for the COO and the CEO to draw their attention to her. And she ends up becoming a pivotal member within the company because she does this thing by going
Translucent.
Is it translucent?
I'm
Going
90%
full
sure.
visible or something.
Yeah.
And that is where anybody can tune in, and it's sort of like a live stream of you, just whenever you're doing anything.
Yeah.
3 minutes to go to the
24/7.
bathroom.
Yes, that's
and that's
about
it.
Yeah. Everything else is being shown.
And that's something like they're trying to start a new trend, and the movie is about how bad of an idea it is to remove privacy, and how somebody ends up dying because they're being chased by people who are trying to find them through this new version of the technology called Soul Finder,
Soul Search, yeah.
where they found a criminal and then they found Emma Watson's sort of childhood friend in the movie, and he runs away because he's sort of like a mountain man and ends up driving off a bridge and killing himself, and that's sort of the turning point for the film as a whole. I think that might even be the beginning of the third act, which you were a fan of.
Yes.
And that's the point. After that, it's finally interesting. Because it builds so painfully slowly, and I get what they were trying to do. You know, they wanted to build from good to ominous, but they never really start out good. There's no public opinion that's actually for this or against it, because it's just so removed from any real-world interaction. Emma Watson, I'm going to go on a tiny spiel.
Go for it, man.
Emma Watson, great though she is, and as hard-pressed as I ever am to find fault with anything she does, her accent is weak. It fluctuates a little bit, kind of hard. She doesn't sound like someone from that part of the country. And so much so that they actually give her a friend who's thick Scottish, specifically to sort of, I think, overshadow the fact that her accent doesn't quite cut it, which is kind of hard at times to add to any sort of authenticity going there.
I want to know, just on that point, sorry, you're on a roll, but I want to know how many films she was doing at once, whether or not The Circle overlapped with Beauty and the Beast, and how she didn't have the time.
Those were she had two
invest.
big movies come out. I mean, Beauty and the Beast was released last month? I don't know.
Not that long ago.
It was very recent. Yes.
My guess is that she filmed Beauty and the Beast first, because that had so much more post involved.
Knowing Disney,
that would probably take much longer to actually get out. Then again, it's Disney, so
I'm trying to blame anything other than Emma for
Yeah.
poor acting, essentially.
Yeah.
She's so busy, she can't do it perfectly. Okay, guys.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the worst American accent that I've seen, but
it just fluctuated.
Yeah, as
sure.
a girl from San Francisco, it's hard to imagine her. And I guess she's such an iconic actress that we already have these kind of preconceived notions going in. We know she's British. We know Yeah, and I guess we're a little bit more, maybe more critical of her than, but yeah, it is interesting that they threw in like, here's a Scottish friend to like show a real like, you know, like juxtapose those two. But she wasn't the worst part of the movie, I will say that.
No,
Ooh,
no, not
that's
at all.
a good angle for it.
Yeah, she was somewhat redeeming, I would say, compared to other elements of the film. So.
The acting in general was, I don't want to say it fell flat because it felt like they were doing the best with what they were given. Because they're all, I think, pretty decent actors by anyone's standards, and it's not. It didn't seem like it was their fault that it fell flat.
Yeah.
Can I pull out a scene that's a perfect example
Absolutely.
of that? When Mercer, we got
Mercer.
notes here.
Mercer's
When
the one
Mercer
with that.
goes in to confront her to the circle, and they sort of get into an argument, and he's just like, we used to adventure and stuff together. There were some really forced lines there. They were only bearable because they're good actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mercer's entire character was
that's what I was gonna
painfully
say.
flat for me. Oh.
His character was very unusual. You could not get a read on what kind of relationship they had.
Yeah.
Whether there was any romance there, or he felt very out of place.
He was my least favorite entity in terms of acting for the film. Another thing, well, something I thought was interesting, I'll counter with an, was at the very end, when literally, I think the second to last scene when they're pulling back, or maybe the last scene when they're pulling back and there's all the separate TVs playing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that is the very last.
So the very last scene, spoiler alert, one of the scenes, the eye is automatically drawn to the military one.
Yes.
But one of the scenes on the left was students standing in classroom to say the national anthem, which stopped in 2008. And so that I thought was very interesting, and maybe that this was more just an ideal of a commentary on Big Brother than modern what I perceived it to be, which was a commentary on now, you know. But I thought that was interesting that they were showing that because that dates it very specifically for some, for me at least.
That actually reminds me of this. I was trying to figure out who the movie was for. I don't think it was for us in a way. I think it was like an appeal to people who run companies like that, like Facebook or like Google, to sort of maybe not be so like to allow for a certain amount of privacy. Like Google, I know even now you can look something up on Amazon, and then on Facebook you see the ads for what you were just looking at on another site.
Exactly. Like they start to cross mingle there.
They figure you out,
They
which
really
is
do,
which
yeah.
is weird. So honestly, I didn't get a whole lot out of the movie personally.
Yeah.
And there was this huge message that in a way was not for me, because I'm not a huge CEO who's trying to get people to give me their information and to make something out of that information to profit off of. So it was just, I felt like it wasn't for me.
Yeah, there were too many ideas going around, I think. Like they didn't really have, or whoever in mind they were trying to make this movie for, I don't feel like they executed that, you know? And there were moments where I just didn't understand, like there wasn't enough development in, what's his name? John Boyega's character, Ty. I mean, he felt so out of place. We talked about him a little bit in the spoiler-free section, but he was really like, she had one interaction with him, and then he takes her down to the basement and gives her all the secrets. I mean, it's totally like, oh, I knew that you were going to be someone I could trust. It's just...
And it's an hour into the film before you even learn his name.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
She's
It's
known
like,
him for months at this point
exactly.
without asking his
and
name.
it's like, what? Like, there's blaring, like, it just made no sense at all. And then he wasn't even in the movie. Other than that, he was just they would just show him standing in the back of the auditorium. And it just felt very...
Leaning in when she's saying something interesting.
Yeah,
And then
that
sitting
was
back.
it.
Like,
He had, like, little to no dialogue. His character was there for whatever reason. I have no idea. And I just don't...
I got a question.
Okay.
You can tell by the quality of a film if there's actors, like whole characters or scenes that you could just do without entirely and still have a film. I think there's a few characters we could lose.
Like?
I like the Mercer. I think we could lose Mercer and maybe have the death be to like one of her parents or her parents. Like
Oh,
rather
yeah,
than turn
yeah.
off their cameras, they try to run away and then they try to get found, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, his other scenes, I suppose it was important for him to have that angle of not wanting to be online.
Yeah, he was
and
kind
then
of
having
representing.
her post his chandelier.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I don't think deers are pests in most parts of the country. So
Yeah.
nobody's gonna insult you by calling you. It's like
deer hunter.
deer killer.
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting emails and like people are sending me death threats. Like
That's what did it for me in that scene
I
when
was
he was like death threats.
Yeah.
Death threats, Emma. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I was laughing at that scene too. I was like, are you serious? This is a joke, right? Come
Say it
on,
one more
who
time. I
wrote
didn't get it.
this?
Death threats? Oh, whoa.
That whole scene was actually really unusual because they did long shots, like, and then you had people with their cameras.
Cut
they're like,
to POV
yeah,
of.
what are you gonna do, Mercer? Go kill a deer? And it's like,
Yeah,
what?
whoa.
What is this? Yeah.
I think it's got to just come down to, I don't even know if that's the script's fault or the director's.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or
both.
Yeah.
But
I want to know if anybody who's watching this has seen or read the book, anyways. Was the ending really just making the CEOs translucent? Was that
Very
really
flat
the
ending,
ultimate
yeah.
climax? Was just like,
We'll
now
stick
you got a
on
camera on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
that was my favorite line of the whole film, though, when he says, "We are so f***ed."
Oh yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite line of the whole movie.
He wouldn't say that though because he knows the camera's on, and
Exactly.
they're not totally.
That's why it's so great.
That's the thing.
I smiled real hard at that. That made me laugh. Because apparently, and I did a little research on the book, just a little.
Okay.
It's a little bit of satire. I mean, more than a little bit. It's like almost 1/3 to half satire and half commentary.
Oh.
This movie felt like it removed all the satire and tried to present it as a completely serious entity. But because the original has this element of satire, that detracted significantly from their ability to present it as a fully serious film.
Mm-hmm. By going so serious, the moments that were like awkwardly serious were justified by the satire. But without it, it's like this is way too heavy for no reason.
And removed from complete realism.
Yeah, it was definitely trying to be serious when it
Mhm.
should have just been what it was. Like,
I thought that one of the best parts was when those two, when she first started, well, not long after she'd been working there, and the two people that worked there came up to her and were like, "Oh, you need to be connected as far as like your social
oh,
stuff."
that was so awkward.
And I thought it was pretty funny to me because yeah, their whole conversation was essentially like, you know, what were you doing? Like, we saw you were gone this weekend. Like, you didn't post anything though. How are we supposed to know what you're doing? And it's like exactly back to that. Like, yeah, if you don't post something online, does anybody know that you did it? Did it actually happen? Like,
If a tree falls in the woods.
yeah, exactly. And it kind of calls back to later on when Tom Hanks's character is like, my son has cerebral palsy, and like, if you don't share your videos, then you're taken away from his experience. You know what I mean? Like,
that was an illogical conclusion drawn through some form of logic, but it.
exactly, yeah. And they made her feel guilty
Yeah.
for going out and kayaking, you know, on her own because it's like, and she was like, I was selfish for doing that, and it's like, in this world, nobody can ever appreciate a moment out in nature, for example, by themselves. Like, it has to be shared with everybody, or else.
That scene specifically actually raised so many different red flags across the spectrum for me. Particularly because, like, on the one hand, it's humanizing Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, I have this son with this disability, and I work through it and help him and care about him, and that's cool. Why they were trying to humanize him, I'm not so sure because he's so briefly shown only a handful of times that seemed like an entire other arc that's then just absent.
Exactly. It's like you never saw him or any, you know, there was no, like...
And then secondly, her immediate sort of predisposition to saying, oh, it was me stealing from the world.
Yeah.
Demonizes her
exactly.
and
yeah.
her entire message.
She flips.
Because
Yep.
which confused and maybe perhaps irked
I
me.
was really confused because when I watched the trailer, I was under the impression that she was going to take a stance right from the get-go of like, this is wrong. But she becomes almost, the villain in a way because she goes on board with this and she's, making these claims like, oh, that was wrong of me. I shouldn't have done that. That was selfish. Like it totally warps your mind.
Yeah.
That scene made me, on top of this other one, made me feel like they were going for like body snatcher vibes, like they're creating people and then putting them out. So when Ty and May go into the server room where the Congresswoman sort of like data is stored, he introduces it like, and this is Congresswoman blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I thought she was like a robot and that was like her consciousness. So I was like really hoping for this film to be more than it was. I was like, are they doing some sci-fi with the technology they're introducing? Are they doing more?
And that's another complaint. Is they touched on her for 2 seconds
I was thinking,
and never came back to it.
That's
it's
it.
like, why are you bringing this stuff up?
I was thinking maybe they like switched Emma Watson with like a fake Emma Watson, like a fake May.
Yeah.
But no
That
such luck.
would've been
She
interesting.
literally flip flopped her character.
Exactly.
That was already poorly developed and then suddenly became a new character. Equally poorly developed.
I had no idea what was going on. I was surprised. Like at the end, I almost thought Patton Oswalt was going to shut the lights off and like light it up or something. You know, like I had no idea what was going on at the very end of the movie. Like I was concerned for her life, but I was also like, the movie just it did not fall under predictable. I would say, for me at least.
That's true.
I was confused.
And not unpredictable in a good sense.
No, not in a good way though. Not in a good
less than satisfying manner.
Exactly. Yes.
Music was unnoticeable.
I agree.
For good music, I mean, sometimes the best music, you don't notice it. It just
But there was at no point where I thought, oh, this is an interesting
there
musical
should be
element.
at least some of that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's from Danny Elfman, who's
done
really,
some cool stuff.
Really has done some really good music scores. But I can't even, I don't remember anything as far as the music goes.
This film revealed how formulaic Hollywood is getting to me with its sort of, when you think about the characters who had lines, they were all utilized. So every character that May ends up talking to ends up reappearing, and then since we've sort of already identified or gotten to know that one character through their interaction with May, when they cut to like an audience or to a reaction shot, it's one of those characters. One of those sort of like sub-characters.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, they would, shoot to the people that she's met along the way.
Like the dude who introduced her to the 100 number and was like, let's try and sail right now. Like, he was cut to, and it was just so, like, now his reaction means something because you kind of know him. It was so formula.
Like, she's met these people.
It was like,
I
was immediately pulled out of it. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. You're trying to make me associate and feel things when it's it's not natural unnaturally coming out.
I totally agree with that.
So they definitely like followed some kind of formula that has worked in the past, but for this film in particular, especially with some of the choices they made, both the writer and director, they weren't good choices. Didn't get a very good film out of it. So I do not recommend this film. Go see something else.
I would have to agree with that. It's a no-go for me. I'll watch her next movie though.
Yeah. Star Power.
Yeah.
Still got you.
Yeah, I will echo that and also not recommend.
All right, well, thanks for joining us at Stubtown. Our next review will be of Guardians of the Galaxy, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Thanks for joining us.